3, 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? This is the Undefeated by Choice podcast brought to you by Steelfist Fights. I know it's been a while, and I keep saying that I'm going to get back on track with these, but I was just on vacation, and we're still a month out from the next Steelfist card, and I don't want to start like plugging these cards too far in advance, because then you just get tired of hearing me talk about it, and with the interviews coming up, I don't want you to forget about it, with like a month and a half break or whatever. So it's starting probably next week. I'm going to start putting the interviews together, getting ready for the next card. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be there's 4 characters. They're not characters because they're human beings, but there are 4 people that I am so excited to interview and get this going for this next card. And so don't think I'm slacking on my job. I just I don't want to give you too much too soon, because then you get tired of hearing about it. I want you to hit it all at once, be excited about it, keep the excitement. So that's the reason I've been kind of MMA. It's on the brain. That's the reason I've been MIA, is just because I've been on vacation in New Orleans, and this is just so you know, I'm recording this immediately after the Saints just lost to the Rams, and so I'm a little disappointed, a little heartbroken. But this isn't a football podcast. If it was, it would probably be 45 minutes long, because I got a lot to say about what just happened. But I do have some comments to make about my trip down there. One, we do have to recognize the Utah fighters that made a good showing at the LFA event. And I apologize, I do not have it in front of me, all the people who won. I know that my teammate and man, Eric, the silverback Iman, got himself a win via knockout. I know that Dom Salas got himself another win via knockout on Trevor Bradshaw, and also Mitch Ramirez got himself a head kick knockout. I believe there's one more, and I don't want to speak out of turn of who it was, so I'm gonna hold off on that. I think I know who it was, but it's been a while since I checked it. So, but yeah, from what I hear, it was a great card. It was lots of knockouts, lots of fun, and I heard a lot of, okay, so this is how I'm going to tie it all together. So I was in New Orleans to watch the Saints play, of course, but also it just so happened to be Dustin Poirier versus Habib Nurmagomedov in the main event. And Dustin is from Louisiana, so I expected to go down there and just, see wildness, because I'm a Saints fan. I'm a diehard Saints fan. That's why I go down there every year for the first game of the season. So I know how wild the fans get for the Saints, and I figured, Dustin being from Lafayette, this is going to get wild in here. It's going to be like, I know how the games get, so I was expecting the UFC event to be the same. And I have to tell you, I was very disappointed with the local support. The bar I went to was a sports bar, and it was it was in like downtown. It was like the one that if you're going to go watch the event somewhere, this was where you're going to go watch it at, unless you're watching it at your house. And so, I was super excited to see, like, the Louisiana fans get behind their man, because I know how they do with their football team. So, but it just wasn't that. There were a few people that were from Louisiana that were there, but most of them were the tourists, and even that, there was a lot of Habib fans in there. So I was, and then also at the same time, at that time I was thinking, man, like, being involved with Steelfist like I am, I know how important local support is. I know how important it is to get the people from your state coming out to watch you fight, and to watch this guy fighting for the championship, fighting for the belt against one of the best to ever do it, and having a chance to make history, having a chance to put the first loss on his record. It was very disappointing to see the support, and I'm one that's all about supporting local people. I was that night, Friday night, the LFA card, I was traveling around trying to watch it on Access TV. I was traveling around trying to show my support from our local fighters, even though they're, a rival organization. I say rival organization kind of tongue-in-cheek because I don't really feel they are. I mean, I know what they promise fighters, I know what they say they can do, but I don't really think they're that big of a rival. But that's just my personal opinion on it. I guess that's why this is just my opinion segment. I just don't think they're that big of a threat. But anyways, to some people, they're our threat, and I did my best to support my local fighters. No matter what, I support Utah fighters. I support what they're doing. I support them, getting better at their craft and taking chances to better their career and go to the next level. So, I absolutely was trying to support them. Couldn't find anywhere, and I just recently saw that they're now doing their last show with Access TV, and a lot of people are disappointed. And I was like, well, maybe they'll get a better deal where people actually can watch their shit fights, because I was diligently searching for. I mean, I even tried to download an Access TV app on my phone, and it didn't give me anything. So, I was really. I believe in supporting local fighters. I believe in showing up to the shows, and helping these guys. And I've talked about it numerous times about how, if the organization makes more money, if it's a good organization, if the organization makes more money, then the fighters make more money. If the fighters make more money, then they get more opportunity to train. If they get more opportunity to train, they get better. They put on better shows, gives them better chance to make it to the next level. Also gives you the chance as a fan to watch better fights on the local circuit. If these fighters are full-time fighters here, putting in, getting that financial backing to where they can become full-time fighters, you benefit as a fan. They only get better. The fights only get better. Also, the fighters, if there's more people in the stands, more opportunity for sponsorships, more eyes on you, more fans, more followers, and you can make more money. So it all comes back. It all comes back. We benefit as fans. They benefit as fighters. Organizations benefit. It's all around. It's a win if you just support local fighters. Just show up to the shows. They're not expensive. I've heard people complain about $35. That's not a lot of money. It's not once a month, and not even always once a month. I mean, we took this month off. We took September off. We're going to take December off. So it's not even $35 a month. And the experience. I mean, I've yet to meet anybody to come to a Steelfist show, and I'm going to talk about Steelfist exclusively now because they're the best show in town. I've yet to have someone come to a Steelfist show and not tell me that it was a fun time, and not tell me that they had, that the fights were great, that they were good matchups, that the environment was awesome. It was more than what they expected. And, I've heard nothing but good. I haven't heard any bad, and it's just you need to support. You have to support your local fighters. I have the utmost respect for these fighters that are getting in there and doing the work, and we need to support them, and we need to help them get better. I went out to Vegas a while ago, and I was able to train at Extreme Couture's camp or facility, and I get out there, and we're rolling. We weren't really sparring; we were just rolling. But you could just tell that there was a complete different feeling. There was a complete different atmosphere. Some of it, there was some that I didn't like about it, but there were some that I did like about it, and the level that specifically the level that they were rolling at was just a complete different level than what I've experienced around here. And I was on the whole, like I've rolled with amazing people. I've rolled with people who are freaks on the mat, but on the whole, like everybody was freaks. And I turned to who I was training with, and I said, this is the difference between full-time fighters and part-time fighters. Like, full-time fighters can get to this level, and you guys aren't even on the big show yet. You guys aren't even in the UFC yet. So like, we need to get our fighters onto that level. We need to put Utah on the map. That's what my goal is. That's what my job is. That's what I'm here for, is to put Utah fighters on the map. And it's all about supporting our local fighters. So this show coming up, we have a show in October, we have a show in November. I expect you all to show up and shell out, and let's bring somebody with you. Bring 2, 3, 4, 5 people with you, and let's make these shows huge. Let's turn the culture in Utah. Let's change the culture. We don't, Louisiana's not doing it for their guy, but Utah can do it for theirs. So let's go. Let's get on that. Let's get on that movement. I expect I expect us to do it. Utah's just it's too beneficial for fighters to be training in Utah to not be taking full advantage of it. We've got great coaches here. We've got great teams here. We don't have too many to where it dilutes. We don't have too many camps here to where it dilutes the talent. And your ability to get hard work. There's a few camps, and that gives the opportunity for you to really train with like beasts. So that went on a little longer of a tangent than what I expected, but I just feel that Utah is about to make that turn, and I'd like to be one of the people at the forefront saying the benefits that we're all going to get from Utah becoming a real fight state. So get your tickets now for October. Get on the website right now. Tickets are available right now. You can get on right now, steelfistfight.com. Go get your tickets for October, and then set your reminder to do it for November, and let's get it. I briefly want to talk about the UFC card that just went down last night. Justin Gaethje, Donald Cerrone, main event, and I was pretty just disappointed with this whole card altogether, and I'll just go through it real quickly of where my disappointments were, and you can disagree with me if you want. You can put it in your comments below and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is what I saw. One, I saw Jimmy Crute versus Misha Kirkunov, and basically what I saw was Jimmy Crute has zero ground game. I think anybody who has maybe two open mat jiu-jitsu classes under their belt probably could have put him to sleep. No, that's very disrespectful. Obviously, he trains hard. He's done really good. I just was surprised at what I was watching, and I don't know what happened. Maybe he got clipped and he wasn't all there. Maybe there's lots of stuff he could have been getting gassed out. I mean, he was just trying to bench press Misha off of him. So I just don't. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I just was not impressed with his ground game at all. And I think if you're at that level, if you're at the UFC, you need to have more. So maybe he does, and I'm completely wrong, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But I just, if you watch that, the transitions on the ground looked like he didn't have much clue of what he was doing. But Misha caught him in a Peruvian necktie, and so I want someone to correct me on this. I want someone who's does jiu-jitsu, someone who is well versed in the schooling of jiu-jitsu, to explain this to me. So I know that the Peruvian necktie is considered like an advanced move, or even like a niche move. Like, it's not really something that you land a lot of, and because it's a little harder to set up, and generally when people have more experience, they don't get caught in it as much. Like a guillotine or an arm bar, they're much more frequent, and so beginners catch onto those a lot quicker, and so people will say like, oh, those are like beginner moves. But it's also because anybody can get caught in a guillotine. Even black belts can get caught in them. Black belts can get caught in arm bars, and frequently do. But like the Peruvian necktie, it's a little easier to defend because it takes so long to set up, or it's so hard to set up. And so it's considered an advanced move, but it's really advanced because if you are going to land on someone, you have to be really good at it, or they have to have zero defense. And so please, someone correct me on that, but that was my take on it, was like, Jimmy Crute did not have any defense for it because he's not well versed on the ground. And so that, please, if someone knows better than me on that, please let me know. The next fight was Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Uriah Hall. Everyone knows Uriah Hall, phenomenal stand-up, phenomenal striker, and Carlos is a ground guy. And that's basically what we saw. We saw Uriah picking him apart, and Antonio Carlos Jr. trying to get him to the ground. My big problem is Antonio's takedown, like his attempts at takedowns. He spent, I believe, almost an entire round on Uriah's back. Okay, so I believe this is the one. So he spent a very long time like on his back, like literally Uriah was giving him a piggyback ride for a long time, and he just was kind of not really doing anything. Uriah was standing up against the cage, so he wasn't really carrying very much of his weight, and so it wasn't doing anything. And then in the very last round, I believe within the first minute of the round, Antonio took Uriah down, had his back, had him in a body triangle, and couldn't do anything with it. Did absolutely nothing with it. And that was weird. I guess Uriah's ground or defense was impeccable, but I guess, but it seemed weird, like for someone who's so known for their ground game to be stuck in a great position like that and do absolutely nothing with it. Was bizarre to me. Then we had Michel Pereira versus Tristan Conley, and this was embarrassing. Now, I'll be the first to admit I was on the Michel Pereira hype train after his first fight in the UFC. He looked like this athletic freak who had all like Johnny Walker, who's very unorthodox and can, explosive and does all these crazy things. I was on the train, man. I was excited to see this fight. I was excited to see this dude on my bet on my DraftKings. I had him. I picked him to win, and he went in against Tristan Conley, who is a 155er who just didn't cut weight, came in at 170, and Michel was exciting to watch for about 3 minutes, and then he was gassed, dead, useless, terrible technique, terrible form. When you see awkward fighters like a Johnny Walker, he still has like technique once he gets out of like his freak show. Michel had zero technique once he came out of his freak show, once he lost the energy. I mean, he did a standing backflip when Tristan was on his back, and people were like celebrating it like that was cool, and that was stupid. There was no benefit in that move. The best you can do is land on his stomach with your feet, because if you land on his head, it's going to be a kicking to the head. I mean, if you land your feet on his head, they're going to call it like a kick to the head or something, or a stomp to the head. And so the best he can do is land his feet on his stomach, and Tristan just kind of batted him away, and Michel was more at a risk to roll his ankle than he was to do anything out of that move. He just did it back. And then there was another point where he did like a cartwheel backflip as he was lunging for, like running forward, and Tristan just got out of the way. I was so disappointed. That was not exciting to watch. I'm not here for the freak show. If you can do that and land it, if you can do that and knock people out, cool. If you're just doing it just to take up space, just to put on to say you're going to put on a show, you did nothing. You lost that fight to someone who fights less than you. You fight at 170, he fights at 155. He didn't cut. He came in on short notice and beat you. Not only that, you didn't even make weight. And that was I'm not super hard on fighters for not making weight. I know stuff comes up and it happens. I know that it's ideal for everyone to make weight always, but it's just not reality. Sometimes things come up, injuries come up, sicknesses come up, anything. Your body just decides it's not going to cut anymore. Like, it just happens. But he came in 2 pounds over, and he did not even look like drained at all. He didn't look like he cared. He didn't look like he tried. If a fighter doesn't make weight but they come in, they look like they're on death's door, I cut them some slack and say, man, they tried. They really did try. If they come in 2 pounds overweight and they still look like, they just got out of a, regular day after eating a regular meal, or they look like maybe they just did like a sparring session, like they just got a little sweat going. I don't have much respect for that. You got to try harder. And 2 pounds and looking as fresh as he did, I feel like he could have made it happen. So I was very disappointed in that. Todd Duffy, Jeff Hughes was embarrassing. Jeff supposedly poked Todd in the eye, and Todd took his chance to get out. I don't know why my nose is itching so bad right now. Anybody who's watching this on YouTube is just seeing me itch my nose like 500 times. Todd Duffy looked just like he was looking for a way out. He barely got poked in the eye, and he wasn't like squinting. When you get poked in your eye, what it feels like and what you do. He didn't do any of that. He just was standing there going, "Oh, I see double." You could just hear him saying over and over again, "I see double. I see double." He just didn't even look or wasn't even reacting like someone who, be a good actor. If you're gonna lie or fake or do whatever, like, be good at it. Everyone knows what it feels like to get poked in the eye. You get sweat in your eye and you're like, closing it and wincing. And he says he got poked in the eye bad enough to the point where he couldn't fight anymore, and he's not even barely even wincing. I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying it. I am not buying it. Nikita Krylov versus Glover Teixeira, I believe, was a good fight. Both showed awesome groundwork. Both showed, good boxing. Good. Nikita was on was doing good. He was sticking and moving. He moved a lot. You could have said he was running, but he had that game plan, and it wasn't terrible. And they would go to the ground and have great ground transitions. And I thought that was probably the best fight of the night, to be honest. And then we had Donald Cerrone versus Justin Gaethje, and oh man, breaks my heart. But Cowboy, went out in the first round, got knocked out in the first round, ate a right hook by Justin Gaethje, and went to sleep. That was it. It happens. That's a fight game, and Donald's nothing but class, comes up shaking, hugging Gaethje, telling him he loves him, telling him he's the man. And it was the way fighting should be. You don't have to hate each other. You can go in and beat the living shit out of each other and still care about each other and love each other. And it is what it is. So that was cool to see. Gaethje was more emotional about it than Donald was. So yeah, it was cool to see. Where I get pissed off is how, and maybe I don't have to always talk about this because I don't want to, but why do we have to? Okay, you all know what I'm going to get into. Anybody who knows me is already smiling and laughing because they know I'm going to mention this. Why do we have to talk about Conor McGregor? He is the number one contender. He is the next guy to fight for the belt against Khabib or Tony Ferguson. Why are we talking about this guy who hasn't had a fight in forever and hasn't had a win in forever? Why are we bringing his name up? Why is that even? Why do I have to talk about him on my podcast? I'm tired of talking about him. And he answered the question. He said he's retired. I'm not fighting him. I want Tony or Khabib. That's it. He answered your question. You asked him point blank in the ring. Completely inappropriate because he's not a number one contender. He's not anywhere on the rankings list as far as like active fighters. Why do we have to bring him up? But we do. You bring him up, and Justin says he's retired. I'm not fighting him. So then we have to get on the post show. Well, look at this tweet Conor wrote. Look at this. What about Conor? Oh, it'd be perfect for you to fight Conor. They're forcing this narrative that Conor McGregor has to fight. They're forcing this narrative that we have to talk about Conor. He already responded to that. I'm going to fight for the belt. I'm going to wait for the belt. I waited 8 months between two fights. I can wait 8 months between this fight. It's perfect timing. I'm good. And they want to still talk about Conor McGregor. It's embarrassing how much they're trying to force this guy back into it's embarrassing how much they're trying to force us to care about him. They're trying to force him to be relevant, talking about his tweets. I'm sure there was tons of other fighters who said something, maybe calling out Gaethje, maybe, whatever. None of them were brought out, just a picture of Conor, and all of a sudden he breaks the internet and everyone wants to talk about it. I'm done. I'm so over it. I'm so over talking about this guy. And then Justin, he feeds into it after a while. Oh, well, if he comes out of retirement, I'll take that fight. He punched an old man in the face, so I need to punch him back. That was a good line, but come on, guys. Come on. Why? He already... Oh, I get so worked up about this, man. Maybe this is why. Maybe this is my lot in life. This is like the Truman Show. I'm just gonna be forced to have to talk about this idiot for the rest of my life. But yeah. Anyways. that was it. That was the UFC card. All in all, I was not impressed. And I gave you my reasons why. I know I've seemed like a UFC hater these past few cards. And I feel like I've talked a lot of negative about them. And it's not that. It's just, I'm definitely not a UFC hater. I watch all the events. I enjoy all the events. I make a special effort to watch all the events. I just, I got to call it like I see it. I'm going to give the matches the right type of attention that whatever my opinion is on them, I'm gonna be honest. So it is what it is. I feel like there's one. I mean, Gaethje Cerrone would have been a great fight. It just got finished early. I don't really have an issue with that. It just happens. The Glover Teixeira Nikita Krylov fight was the only other fight that really got me excited. Was the only other fight that I was like, oh yeah, this is a very good fight. So and I'm not gonna go to the undercard. I didn't see all of the undercard, so maybe I missed all the good ones on the undercard. But yeah. Anyways, I'm going to cut this one right now. Everybody, you know where to find us. Find us on YouTube at Undefeated by Choice. Find us on Facebook at Steelfist Fight Night, and on Instagram at Steelfist Fight. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on YouTube. Get your tickets for October. Come out and support your local fighters. You can also find us on iHeartRadio. I haven't done this for a while. If you can't tell, it's been a while since I've had to say everything that you can find us on. But you can also watch the fights on Blitz TV, and I haven't been saying that, and I need to say that more because we are in business with them. So if you're not within the, I believe it's 60-mile radius of the event, and you're not coming to the event, which you should, because all shows are better live. But if you can't make it, find us on Blitz TV, night of the fight, and support your local fighters. Support your local fighters. That's the lesson for today. That is the takeaway from today. That's going to be the takeaway for the next long time, is support your local fighters. That's how we get better fights here. That's how we get better fights locally. That's how we get our fighters to the next level. That's how we put Utah on the map. That's how we get, that's how everything works. Everything works. We get more butts in seats. Everybody gets better. Everybody benefits from it. So, everybody, be good to yourself. Be good to each other. I love you.